I feel like
we have gender roles when it's convenient for other people,
No, when it's
but
convenient for women. Right.
well, yeah,
oh man.
there, we've been brainwashed into feeling guilty about being men, and it's like this trade-off that we're doing it's cool, and we're volunteering to do it, and we're all proud to be to aspire to be better fathers than our fathers. Shout out to my father. Today's his birthday. Shout out to
Okay.
Sylvia's.
Shout out to
Have a
All right.
cups up to you.
Yes.
But I'm aiming to be a better dad than him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great dad, but I want to be a better dad, and I want to be a better husband, and I want to be better. And by that means we're gonna take a little bit off of the women's plate, and we're gonna do a little bit more on our side, and we're gonna conform a little bit.
Yeah,
But
because
they kind
society pushes that. But go ahead.
Well, it's not just society pushes that. I feel like to evolve, we should be better, and maybe that
you can call it that. We're evolving.
Yeah, we're evolving, and this toxic masculinity word is being tossed around, and it's like it's cool, and we could absorb it, and we could see it, and we could see it in the world, and we will address it. There are certain things in the world that are toxic masculinity. But as a whole, we're trying to be better, and women are taking advantage of it.
Okay, can I ask Cool a question?
Sure.
So, what she said in the clip, she was saying how pretty much, in a nutshell, like a man wanting to lead and like her to be like his side piece. Not a side piece, but like
her Coretta, like she don't want to be anybody's Coretta Scott King.
All right, if you want to call it that, but the way she explained was basically like, all right, like the man is the lead and she's his partner and whatever, and she felt like that was toxic masculinity, right? What was so toxic about that?
I'm not really sure I got that. Just a man wanting to lead was considered toxic. I don't think that's what I got from it. I'm guessing the way these men led was, maybe out of pocket to some sense, or entitlement came into the play at that point. If they were socially on her level or higher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Level or higher, then maybe they were, it could be simple things of just being extra bossy, or what I mean, and things like that. Like, maybe acting like an asshole all day long, but now it's sex time or whatever. I don't know. That it didn't seem like a guy doing the regular guy thing. She was referring to. I don't think
she mentioned that. She said, "Oh, when were you born?" And I guess the dudes that she's talking about are more traditional, right? Where it's like the way relationships were in the past.
I mean, we've seen some Mike Turners, right? We've seen some people in the past that necessarily.
All right, so here we go.
No, I'm just saying. Yes or no?
Yeah, but you think every dude back in the day was just beating chicks up?
Nope. I'm not. I'm not saying at all. I'm just. Well, maybe those are some of the things she ran into.
And this, all right, this is one of the issues, because I swear I was watching a video on YouTube, and it's like people make out as if back in the day, the world was like a Tyler Perry movie where all black men or men was fucking tyrants and whipping, slapping their wives and telling them to cook dinner and stay pregnant and slapping the shit out of them, having sex with them, and like
I think
yo,
it's
bro,
the opposite.
I
was on a pedestal.
I believe that the same way men are today, it's a lot of the times it's a line close to where it is now, where it's like men, majority of men don't have a whole nother family or across town. A lot of men don't physically beat their wives. A lot of men don't disrespect their women and things like that. I think it was more, the only thing that was different is that men more or less like, all right, they work and they'll give their whole check to their family, and they just like, all right, I'm sitting in front of the TV, I'm eating dinner and stuff like that, right? They weren't, the only thing that I don't think was different was that they didn't have to do a lot of the stuff that men do today.
Right.
The sharing duties with women, right? But not like on some like, bitch, you better do this, you better clean all my shit or whatever, clean the shit stains out my drawers and all, you know what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. Like, men were tyrants. Because I know there were men out there that my grandfather had 10 kids.
I was just gonna go with that. Let's I was
He
gonna say
had
let's start
10
with the
kids.
grandfathers.
He had 10 kids. And
From your grandmother?
from my grandmother.
Okay, good.
They had 10 kids. And they stayed together for a very long time, probably after they weren't, just stayed together for the sake of the family. And then eventually they parted ways, right? My father's father, the same thing. He stayed, had family or whatever, and then he got remarried and got another wife and this, that, and the third. And like, I never heard of like him having, when they both passed away, I didn't hear about no additional kids or anything like that, or any domestic violence or nothing like that. I feel like more or less like back then, a husband would more or less like, yo, when I take on a family, I'm taking on everything, and I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't even like,
but that's toxic masculinity now. To take on the role of being the provider for everybody, or to just want to do that, is looked at as toxic masculinity, and it's like,
but
men are ashamed now.
I believe that a lot of
be-
men. I'm sorry. Go ahead, GB.
No, go ahead.
I believe a lot of men may want that title, but not necessarily take on the role of fully provider.
Right.
That's, I think, a difference now. You know what I mean? Where, okay, a man that was fully providing maybe would want things a certain way. But now, if your wife is working just as much as you are, and then you're coming home and expecting, you know what I'm saying? Expecting a certain level of, that gender role now to come into play, then I think that's where the mix-up happens.
Bro.
It was easy for a guy back in the day to say, I worked all day. No, I'm just saying,
all right. Just speak to me in real time, right?
Yeah.
So do you know a guy in real life that works and then has his wife or his girlfriend working full time, taking care of kids, and demand certain things from that person?
I know one right off the rip. Yep.
I don't know too many like that. I know
name one right now. I'm not gonna do it. But
everybody that I know, like even the most like kind of rigid person, they're sharing duties. They're sharing like certain duties, whether it be household stuff, whether it be going to kids' activities and things like that.
Especially
right?
The kids, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And like this idea of men and women, like this it's like a toxic relationship where it's like these women are so docile, and they're men are so tyrannical, and they're beating on women, and no. Idea it's not real, bro.
No,
it's not real. I'm not saying that women don't get beat and things like that.
No.
Domestic violence doesn't happen.
Let's
this idea of how men control everything, whatever. Because like I know men that they like a lot of the times when a man has a girlfriend, when a man doesn't have a girlfriend, right? When a man is married, they're doing everything for women, even when you're single, to try to get women, right? And then when you get into a relationship, you're doing everything, working, giving all your money to keep that woman happy. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, I am obsessed with my wife's happiness because I know that her happiness is a fucking a thermometer in my household. whether she's good, happy, it could determine whether the house is good or not.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely not obsessed with it. I would like you to be happy. Obsession is a very strong
like
word.
yo, I worry. I'm like, yo, it is something happens. All right, is that a problem? Is it not a problem or whatever? You know what I mean? And I think most men that they're they they're with a woman or whatever, they're going to their first agenda or the first thing that they have to do is make sure that woman is happy. And I think most men do that. I don't think most men are on some shit where it's like, I don't give a fuck about what this chick. I don't care.
I think there's a difference between I don't give a fuck and I gotta make sure that she's happy. I gotta make sure these bills are paid. I gotta make sure, but I can't make.
That's part of it, though.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. Well, if you want to make sure that's part of it, then that's part of it. But
A woman doesn't want to stress about certain things. They don't want to have to worry about certain
they
things.
can't. Shit, the pussy dry up. Worried about bills. That's dry. That's dry. Listen, I'm looking at it like our roles in marriage, especially. It's almost like if you analogize it to like the NBA. Back in the day, the point guard was the primary ball handler. Center got in the paint. Power forward got all the rebounds. 3 guard was, the small forward ran the breaks and everything like that. And then the shooting guard kind of hang out on the 3-point line, waiting for that mid range or for that 3-point shot. Now everybody kind of plays the same position, but when a play is called, everybody knows who and where to go. Right now in marriages and then in our communities and everything like that, everybody's playing the same position almost, but we still got to remember what role we actually play, and we got to take pride in those roles. You know what I mean? And I feel like men are really the only ones kind of really taking pride and remembering what roles that we're playing as a whole.
Their role,
as a whole.
men's role
I can't
hasn't
speak for
really.
my household because my wife is a traditional wife.
The idea of the role of a man has not really changed.
Yeah.
Now, what you're supposed to provide, being a provider, might be less because you got a two people household.
Yeah.
Right? 2 people contributing financially.
And that's not a luxury. That is what it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's what it takes to happen in America. Hold on one second. My bad, and interrupt you. As the mother, as the nurturer, right? Like, if our kid is sick and got to go to the doctor, if it's like a mild sickness, whatever, I could take her after school. But if she's sick, I expect you to want to take off from work.
Oh yeah.
And go see what's going on with our child, because it's like if you don't, it's like it's kind of weird, like that you don't want to nurture your offspring. You know what I mean? Because that's like, I don't know, it's like unnatural almost. It's almost like you're becoming a man. Like a man is always gonna be like, no, I gotta secure these resources because if I can't bring this back home, then we can't survive. You know what I mean? But a woman is always gonna want to nest and nurture and get this kid back into like shape, and then the dad could handle little dentist appointments and physicals and all that. We do all that stuff, but they're the CEO of that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And we defer to them.
Absolutely.
On those things. So I don't know. And that's kind of where I'm kind of seeing, like, she's just a representation of, successful people as a whole, just putting so much work into themselves and then just kind of like gatekeeping their success and not being able to share. She would have benefited from meeting someone early in life and falling in love with that person and building her success with that person that she loved and being there. But now, as she became a bitter divorced man without even going through anything.